Welcome back, guys. Today we have Sione Inoke on. Sione, tell me a little bit about your walk journey. Like, how'd you get into it?
I mentioned this before. I'm not really sure how I heard about it or found out about it. I don't know if I heard about it before, but then I had some friends that joined group 4 ahead of group 5 that I'm in. So I know that kind of solidified things, but I was also following Jimmy already, and it just spoke to me on like just becoming a better version of myself.
You know, a lot of people like don't find wanting to be a better version of themselves until like later on in life. Like, how did you kind of fall into that?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like we kind of were briefly talking about before we started the podcast, but like my life, I was literally just existing. I mentioned this before, so I mean, I'll mention it again, but like I struggled with porn, like from the earliest memories that I have in my life. And growing up in the LDS church, you know, you're like, don't do that, don't look, you know, and so I just had a bunch of, I knew it was wrong even before I knew what it was. Like it was weird, but I always kept it hidden, so nobody really knew that I struggled with it. And so that being a part of my life at such an early age, like literally like 2 years old, 3 years old, I remember like have memories of it, but I just kind of existed. Killed a lot of motivation. It killed a lot of frustration. So like I was always like even kill, like my entire life, like so calm, so chill, like whatever. But that also meant that like I didn't have a lot of aspirations to do much. And so I just existed in my life until it finally came out with my wife. She was the first person that realized like how bad of a problem it was for me. And so when we started getting help, that was the first time I even started to look for help or understand what addiction really was. And then that realizing that I wasn't broken was the first thing that kind of gave me permission to be like, oh, okay, now I can start seeing who I am and really dig into it. And so put me on a path to join WAT, and I've been in ever since. So
Yeah, talking a little bit about that, I admire the fact of like your integrity and honesty about that, like coming into a group. I think that's a big thing that a lot of men struggle with, like silently, like on their own. And it was cool that you chose to like come in with that. Like why would you say you did chose to be open about it instead of like keeping it in?
Oh man, like I said, realizing that I wasn't broken. Like I know that there are people out there that struggle with it probably to the same extent that I did. Like realizing what addiction was, realizing that it wasn't anything because I was wrong or like a bad person. Like being open with it, hopefully it resonates with at least one person that I know what that feels like, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm on I've hosted podcasts on addiction. I've shared this story lots of times, but like the reason why I'm so open with it is because guess what? I know I'm not the only one. Like, and for that shame and guilt to be piled on, like, oh my gosh. Once you can break through that and understand like, hey, you're not a bad person. You're not broken. Like that's why I share it.
What lies do you think that porn like tells men?
Being intimate, physically intimate with someone is like there's literally nothing better, right? But also, I think the reason why it has a lot of like taboo and you don't talk about it is you shouldn't have sex, you shouldn't do this, right? It's the one thing that we can do on earth that's like the closest thing to godliness. Like we're literally creating life in an act where you're so vulnerable, like you are doing an act that can create life. That I think is the one thing that people leave out is like it's the one thing that's like closest to godliness that we have on this earth, right? And then when you have truly connected physical intimacy, like there's nothing better than that. So what does porn get wrong? Everything. Like everything. It teaches toxic masculinity. It doesn't show like what true authentic masculinity is. It degrades. Now, keep in mind, I'm not, even though I struggled with it all my life, I'm at a point now where like I think there can be good that comes from porn. And like I think there are couple ships out there that it probably does bring them a little bit closer. Again, I feel like I use air quotes, the bad outweighs the good.
Sure.
But what does porn get wrong? A lot.
Yeah. A lot of people might disagree with the stance of like, if there was like any good that came from it, like what would you say that would be if there was any?
Like I said, I think there are some couples that maybe it can bring them closer. I think, if that's what they need, but to be honest, I honestly think that you don't need it in your life at all.
Yeah.
But I also like labeling things good and bad is something also that I've grown and learned a lot about myself in. And it's like, I'm not here to label things good or bad. It's how it gets interpreted for each individual.
Sure.
So someone might say it's bad.
Yeah.
Someone might say that same thing's good. Who am I to tell them otherwise, right?
Absolutely.
So
yeah, and I think sometimes that a lot of things could be masked as good as well, and we could talk about the good and bad thing of like some things having benefits to them, like whether it could be like drinking alcohol or smoking weed or different sorts of things like that. Like they could bring like good conversations or they could open up things, but I think the devil also does a good job sometimes of like masking those things of like could being good, and overindulgence in them would tear your soul down to a lot. What do you think porn costs men that don't talk about it and don't try to overcome that?
To be honest, everything. When you're hiding, this is something I've learned through like when you can't be authentic, when you can't be in integrity, like you shut literally half of yourself off.
Even if it's one little thing.
And so when you're closed off and you can't share that part of you, Jimmy says this all the time, you don't know how to receive the love that you get because you don't love yourself. Like, and so it costs everything. Like I said, like I look back and I'm only talking about my life. Like I was literally just existing. Like I was a leaf in the wind, like being blown around. Like, oh, this is happening. Cool. I'll go that way. Or this is happening. Like, cool. I'll go that way. So like somebody might say like, that's cool. That was freedom. But like I had no direction because I was blocking myself off from the world. I only showed people like the quote good Sione.
Yeah.
The one that is truly me, but because I didn't believe it, because I didn't think I was worthy, because I didn't think I was a good person. Those were the lies that I was telling myself. And that's why I share my stories, because like I know I'm not alone in that. Like there's so many guys that struggle with that same exact thing. Like, and if I could tell them you're not broken, like there's healing, like there's ways to get over this. And it's, that's why
when was like, and like, what did it take to get to the point of like, enough is enough on that?
Interesting thought is that I don't think for me, it was like enough is enough. It was, I had to first understand what addiction was, why I was turned into it in the first place. I had to understand why I kept stuck in that cycle. And then I also had to understand like what triggers are and like, why do I feel pulled to this in this moment? Once you have like a groundwork of like, okay, these are the signs. Like, and I'm open with this. Like I relapsed twice, 3 times, maybe. My wife knows because it was affected her deeply. Right. And so, I learned something new about myself of when those happen again. So like, again, there's ways out of it. There wasn't like enough is enough. It's just like, I kept learning about myself.
Okay. So you would say that like, instead of somebody being able to like, essentially like cold turkey, because we talk about porn specifically, but I think this goes for like a lot of addictions.
Addiction in general.
Addiction in general. Yeah. You know, some people have the like God-given ability to just be like, I'm done, you know, and just stop. Like very, very few people on this earth, I would say. But I think a lot of other people have to essentially like learn, like you said, either about themselves or about like what they're doing and like kind of almost, I mean, we're in sales, right? And so it's like shifting a perspective in your mind of like why I do this versus why I don't.
Yes.
Because you tell yourself so many reasons of like why you do it currently, you know, and then like now you have to switch your perspective of like why shouldn't I do this, right? With that, like obviously, you know, you had to go through and like kind of set up your life to where those triggers and those temptations like maybe might not enter as much as they used to. How do you like handle temptation now? Because obviously I don't think that's something that would necessarily go away forever. How do you go about handling that now?
Yeah, I don't think it ever goes away. I mean, I talk about this with my wife a lot, but like if there's an attractive woman like walking around the store or something, like it's not like I don't notice her.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't like, it doesn't stick with me. And it's not like I'm taking it home and like, it's not affecting my relationship with my wife.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's always there, but then you get to a point where it's like, does it serve me? If the answer is no, then like, okay, then I don't need to waste time with it. Like, I don't have social media, and that's kind of a safety barrier like my wife and I put in place.
I mean, nowadays with social media, I mean, there's just so many like half naked people all over the internet.
All the time.
And like, it's
funny. Like if you look at my wife's like Instagram or Facebook, like, and she's scrolling, like there would be things on hers. I'm like, what are you watching? Like, why are there half naked women on your page all the time? Like, you know, but it's just funny. Like you can limit what you take in, but then like, just understand, like, you got to understand, like, what are your triggers? Why are they triggering? Like, if you don't get to the why, then you don't get to understand, like, why you do the things you do anyway.
Yeah.
Right? You're just living on autopilot.
Yeah. Obviously, going through something like that for an extensive period of time and then being able to overcome it, I think it gives a lot of strength in being able to teach, you know, something like this. So how has it impacted, I guess, your ability to have these tough conversations, you know, with your kids or the people around you in your life about addictions and things that they're overcoming and stuff like that?
I'll stick specifically with my kids is like, there's no shame and guilt. Like, I'm not shaming them and guilting them over like, oh, you should never look at that. Like, I tell them, hey, look, you're going to see some beautiful naked women. It's inevitable. He's 11 years old. He's already seen it.
Yeah.
But he told me about it because I didn't put this shame and guilt on him. Like, if you ever see this, you're a bad person.
Yeah.
I said, no, you're going to see it. Be ready for it. And when you do see it, you can come and talk to me about it. Like, you're not a bad person for looking at it. But there are situations where you probably, when you see it, you if it makes you feel weird, then you should probably like avoid it. But don't feel bad about it. Like, it's completely natural, especially at 11 years old.
Yeah.
His hormones are changing. He's going through puberty,
Sure.
right? Like, I talked to him about this actually, I think enough, but like probably I should probably talk to him even more about it. But there's no shame and guilt over
Do you
it.
think parents don't talk about this stuff enough?
They don't, and because it makes them feel shame and guilt. That's the problem, is like parents have this own shame and guilt that was put on them from their parents and from the church or from other areas of their life, you know? Or maybe they were, unfortunately, like maybe they were sexually abused, right? And so now that has shame and guilt because a lot of people that are think it's their fault, right? And so we just don't talk about it. Or if you do, you're in trouble. Or if you do, you're a bad person. And so you get to a point where you're just like, hey, like, this is 100% natural. It's 100% normal. And it's just like talking to them about drinking or drugs or anything else. Like, hey, you're going to be exposed to it. You're going to be around it.
Yeah.
You know, if you choose to do it, doesn't make you a bad person. Just come and talk to me about it.
What do you think the differences are growing up, like when you grew up versus kind of where your kids are growing up now, and like what scares you about this, like raising them in this era?
It's way more accessible now than it ever has been. It's like literally in our pocket at any given time. I can pull up any, like, we have access to so many resources for porn. Like, it's not even hidden. It's joked about a lot. It's like,
absolutely.
You know, so just the ease of getting access to it. I don't want porn to teach my kids about what sex is. I worry that, especially with kids, I mean, they're exposed to it, I think, at like age 10 at the latest now. It's like crazy how much earlier they get access to it now. So, but when you let porn teach your kids what sex is, it does something in the brain like, oh, this is what it is. It's like, it's not that at all. Like, at all. So that's what scares me.
How would you advise like parents, I guess, that are listening to this who, you know, like they want to keep their kids away from that, right? Like and some of them go about it by like not giving them a phone until a certain age, or, you know, maybe trying to like shelter them from that. Like, how could they have like a open, honest conversation about pornography or sex to be able to actually educate their kids instead of just sheltering from it? Because I think as they grow up, like, they're gonna get exposed to it at some point or another. It's inevitable. I mean, whether it's like when they get their phone or, you know, like different things like that. So how would you like advise people to have that conversation?
Interestingly enough, I think parents need to have an understanding of what it means to them. Like, if they're all awkward and like, oh, I shouldn't talk about this even with myself, like, there's no way you can communicate to your kids if you're not comfortable with it, right? So, again, shame and guilt is really, really heavy. And especially in any addiction, that's what keeps people stuck, is the shame and the guilt. Drugs, alcohol, honestly, social media is like, there's more people addicted to their social media and their phones now than anything else. Like, it's a coping mechanism. We can go into all that, but like, talking to your kids about it is, you have to understand what it means to you, and you can't, if it makes you uncomfortable, like, dig into like, why does it make you uncomfortable? Like, who taught you that it's wrong? Who taught you that you shouldn't talk about this? Why do you have those beliefs around it? Because if you can't have a conversation with yourself, like, you're not going to be able to have a conversation with a kid. But if anything, if you still don't feel comfortable about yourself, but if anything, don't make it a bad thing. Like, it will happen. Boys and girls will be exposed to porn.
It's whether they talk to you about it or not.
Right. Like, it's so accessible at every level now that, like, it's inevitable they will be exposed to it.
Yeah.
So don't make them feel bad about it. Like, just be like, hey, like you're probably going to see some things. I just want you to know it's okay. I'm still working on what that means to me for myself and why I'm uncomfortable with it. But I want you to at least be comfortable with it, and you can come and talk to me about it.
Yeah. Why do you think people use that as a coping mechanism? And like, what are some better coping mechanisms for them to use?
I mean, that's the thing. Addiction can be anything. Like it could be exercising, right? Like coping, we all cope. We all have to cope. Like I think it's a necessary human trait. It's like you have to cope because we're flooded with emotions all day long, and we're flooded with we get hungry, we get bored, we get tired, we get and so like coping. There's healthy ways to cope and there's unhealthy ways to cope. And for me, the best way I can describe it is if you feel like you're coping in an unhealthy way, if you have to hide it, or if you have to, or you can't talk about it, then that's unhealthy coping. If I go and grab a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because I'm feeling like nervous about something, like I don't feel like I have to hide. Hey, I coped with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich today. Like I'm like, is that healthy coping? Sure, whatever. Like,
but we also talk about good and bad on things like that. As somebody that's way overweight that goes and grabs a Kit Kat or some sort of food, like that is an unhealthy coping mechanism. Yeah. So I think you're like onto something with like trying to find something that you don't have to hide. Trying to find something that makes like I always like kind of bring it to like a religious standpoint of like, if Jesus could watch me do this, like, is it healthy or not? You know what I mean? So like, would this be healthy for my body? Would it be healthy, in the eyes of somebody else to see me do this?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's amazing. So also recently, you have kind of switched around in careers here and there. Tell me a little bit about that. Like where's, you went from real estate, kind of a deeper background there, trying out some door-to-door sales, a little bit of a young man's game here. Tell me about that. How you how's that going for you?
It's been a transition. I was in what's called real estate wholesaling, where I find distressed properties or distressed sellers and buy their properties and help them out of a tough situation. And then it died down, but not because of the market or anything. It died down because of me. And so I needed to bring in some income. And so being connected in what I know you run a door knocking team and a couple of other guys do. And so I reached out and was like, hey, I need to make some money. So it's been interesting. And the coolest thing with door knocking is like you learn something about yourself every door.
Yeah.
It's like every door you learn something about yourself. Like, okay. And then you learn about rejection. You learn about like, okay, that sucked. All days has sucked, but okay, next door. Like just keep going, right? And so it's been cool. We had a WAT training call for our group today, and actually kind of made me realize I need to get back into wholesaling and just focus on that too. So, but
I always think that like a little bit of time door knocking could like, it just changes your perspective on sales so much. Like you almost get like numb to like, obviously being told no, like you're getting told no all day,
all day long, yeah.
Your deals might not come until like after 6 p.m. It's almost dark. And then you somehow get 3 by the end of the day. You know, it's just like, it teaches you that grind like crazy. And it's I always think it's like a good transition for people. Like I'm sure the wholesaling maybe a little bit of burnout here or there within it, and then now I'm sure you're feeling fresh to get back into that wholesaling. I'm sure.
Yeah. I think everybody should door knock for sure.
Yeah.
But you also learn about just people in general, and you see a lot. Like it opens your eyes to be like, oh man, like I'm so grateful that I live here in Utah. I'm so grateful that like we have roads that are actually paved. I'm so grateful that like, yeah. So lots of shows you lots of things that you're
lots of
grateful
gratitude. Yeah. You grew up in Utah. Yeah.
Born and raised. Yeah.
Born and raised. Yeah. It's a bubble here that
Yeah.
people don't realize. So obviously, like with the door knocking recently, you've had to like travel quite a bit. How is that? How are you still like showing up for your family and your kids while being on the road a ton here?
Cool thing with door knocking that I'm doing is, I mean, I'll just share. It's fiber internet sales, right? And so the nice thing about that is like I don't have to be gone for months at a time.
Yeah.
So a blitz is about 10 days, or I've been going out the last couple of blitzes just for a week.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not away from my family for so long. But then that shows me another gratitude is like I get to see them every night. Mm-hmm. I may not get to be with them and hold them and cuddle them, but I can see their faces every day because of FaceTime. And like, so it's a long time, but it's also not a long time.
I assume before that, like you probably hadn't gone, that amount of time without like seeing your family for probably a while.
Yeah. I've been a while. I think the longest I've been away from it was like just a couple of days just by myself. So,
and it's definitely like super different. I'm sure, they say that like distance makes the heart grow fonder and things like that. But I think it really just like, it kind of gives you, like you said, those like little small gratitudes of like you mentioned earlier, it's like getting to go pick your kids up from school today, or just getting to like see them, or tuck them in or play with them or whatever it is, you know what I mean? So I think it's awesome. But I guess a couple more questions here. What do you think like being like disciplined and like in integrity in private has done for you in public, like your performance and output?
So what is being in integrity now in my private life been able to do for me? One, it's brought a lot of relationships into my life that I didn't have before. I had lots of friends. I still have lots of friends from like high school and growing up, but I felt like I was only showing them the good half, quote, right? So it's cool to be open and vulnerable now, because now I know the people that are around me are around me because they love me.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if I had that before.
It's almost like they get the full you instead of the like. It feels like there's almost like a double life, and you're like, oh, if only you knew.
Yeah.
And it goes with a lot of like worthiness thoughts and things like that as well.
If you really knew me, you wouldn't love me.
Yeah.
Because we talk about ourselves the worst out of anybody, right? And so the way I was talking about myself, like how much I loathe myself and like I'm such an idiot. I'm so stupid. I'm worthless. Like, if that's how I felt about myself, I felt like if I shared anything with them, that's how they would feel about me too.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's going back to what you were saying is like those guys that are struggling, like it takes away everything for you. So like you have resources. You can hit me up. Like, I'll help you out as much as I can, but we all have to do it for ourselves. Like that's the biggest thing too, is like, if you're doing it because you're trying to save a relationship, or if you're doing it because of this or that, like that might be like the push you need to start something, but ultimately it has to be done for yourself, and it's good.
Absolutely. One last question. If you were to go back to your 20-year-old self today, what piece of advice would you give him?
That's an interesting question. I've done that with like my inner child. Like if I was to go back and see my 5-year-old self, I don't know if I'd give him any advice. I think I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. But I would tell him I love you. And it's all worth it. You're here for a reason. And it's all worth it. So that's what I tell myself.
I love you, brother.
I love
Thank
you too, man.
Sione Inoke, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, man.
All right, bro.